Very much the breaking news tonight, not just the storm out there rolling through right now with all the heavy rain, but the death of Congresswoman Jackie Walorski, killed in a horrific car crash this afternoon in Elkhart County.
And this did happen at 12:30 on State Road 19 and State Road 119, just north of Nappanee. 4 people in total killed. This is a horrific crash, rocking not only Jackie Walorski's family and her inner circle, but the family of the staffers, and as well as a woman from Nappanee also killed in that crash. Now, what we do know is that Emma Thomson, her communications director, and Zachery, the chair of the St. Joseph County Republican Party, who also worked in some capacity at Jackie Walorski's office.
I believe he was the district director here, so he handled constituent services and local events here, not necessarily in D.C., but he handled her business more in this area, and they were just on their way to and from a regular political event. There was a meeting about opioids, the opioid crisis, and how to help more families struggling through addiction access the services that they need and what can be done to fight against the scourge of addiction. Jackie Walorski has been part of that battle since the opioid epidemic started. She has also been a very strong voice for Michiana veterans and trying to help get the VA to do the right things by veterans here in our area as well. She was also a very active voice in the pro-life movement and celebrated the overturning of Roe versus Wade by the U.S. Supreme Court. Of course, not everyone agrees with that, and that is how politics goes, but everyone can agree that this is a tragic day and a tragic loss here in Michiana politics. This is a tweet from State Representative Maureen Bauer, a Democrat of South Bend. She writes on Twitter, quote, "My condolences go out to the family and loved ones of U.S. Representative Jackie Walorski, her communications director, Emma Thomson, and St. Joseph County Republican Party Chairman Zachery. I send my thoughts and prayers to find peace during this heartbreaking time." That message from a Democrat. And in these days of divided politics here in Michiana, across Indiana, and across the country, people coming together from all political stripes to mourn the loss of Jackie Walorski.
And if you're just joining us, we just heard from Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch live. She joined us via Zoom to share what, her condolences and her memories of Jackie, working closely with her in the House. And we're also just getting word from Governor Eric Holcomb of Indiana. He has issued a statement on the passing of Congresswoman Walorski. I'm going to read this for you. He says, "Janet and I are devastated by the tragic loss of our friend Congresswoman Jackie Walorski and her 2 staffers, Emma Thomson and Zach Potts, earlier today. Our broken hearts go out to her husband, Dean, and the entire family during this time of unimaginable mourning. At every level of public service, Jackie was known to be a positive force of nature, a patriot, and a relentless policymaker with an unwavering loyalty to her constituents. Jackie's record of achievement is impossible to quantify. She will be remembered as a fighter with a huge heart and that always went out to the extra mile, and I'll treasure the times we walked a few of those together. Every waking moment for her was energetically devoted to improving the lives of all Hoosiers better. The epitome of a good and faithful servant. She and the example she set will be missed every day forward." That is Governor Eric Holcomb of Indiana. And Brian, something we are hearing is over and over again is she was a fighter and she was a Hoosier. She didn't let anyone go by without knowing that about her.
Yep, she walked into a room and absolutely lit it up. The lieutenant governor saying she never met a stranger, and Jackie Walorski never walked into a room of strangers. She walked in and immediately took control of that room and got to know everybody. And if you ever saw her at an event, she wasn't just standing on the podium, minding her business and looking around. She was down there at the table. She was down there in the aisles. She's shaking hands. She's talking to people, asking them how they're doing. What are their issues? She she was, I guess, what you might call a hands-on politician. They used to say that about Bill Clinton. He was a retail politician who was very good with people. And that's what we're hearing from multiple voices tonight about Jackie Walorski as well. Certainly passionate, certainly devoted to the causes that she believed in, from veterans to children, to education, to the business community. I mean, she was a fighter for the RV industry. I mean, she would go out and call herself, you know, the congresswoman for the RV industry.
Yep.
And she said that proudly. It wasn't a joke. She was very, very involved in helping industries like that. With laws in Congress and making sure, especially since the pandemic started and all the supply chain issues, she's been very active trying to help businesses survive the pandemic and the economic fallout after it.
Yeah, she's definitely very aggressive, and even meeting her personally, I know you and I have done interviews with her in the past. She's come to our studios. I mean, she just, Lieutenant Governor said it perfectly. She didn't meet a stranger. You felt like you knew her immediately when you talked to her, and I mean, just asking her about her policies, she was very devoted and passionate. You could tell by just, you know, having a quick conversation with her, whether that was spending a day with her or even a few minutes. You walked away knowing that.
And, you know, she was very active in Michiana politics for a very long time, but started originally as a Christian missionary in Romania. She has roots. Her family is from Romania generations ago, and she and her husband Dean spent several years there, starting a charity, helping, you know, refugees and poor children, making sure they had enough to eat, making sure that they had clothing to wear. And in fact, in 2017, the Romanian government issued an honor to Congresswoman Walorski. It's called the Commander of the Order of the Star of Romania. She got that on June 8, 2017, for her efforts as a missionary doing good works in Romania before she started her political career here in Michiana. And you see some of those images with the masks there, out with local police officers. She always backed the men and women in blue. She always backed the U.S. military and our local veterans. She fought for schools. She fought against the opioid crisis and drug abuse. She was outspoken on so many different issues. And look at her there with children likely reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. That is just awesome images. And it really shows you, you know, just looking at these images of Jackie Walorski, this is what she did. She sat with people. She met with people. She listened to people. She tried to understand people and their issues and then find ways that the government could, in fact, help them. And there are some folks in politics who are not quite like that.